Welcome back to the Gilbertson Aero Factory. Today is Sunday, the 17th of November, 2024. Today's a really important day to me. It would be my dad's 82nd birthday. As most of you know, I lost my dad recently. So I will dedicate this work and every good thing that I do to the memory of my dad, the best man who ever lived. And what we're gonna do for my dad today is get these ailerons buttoned up. They're ready for final riveting, but they're kind of awkward like this on the table, so I'm gonna have to build a little kind of fixture that the idea that I stole from Tim, who stole it from somebody else, and that person probably stole it from somebody else. So I don't know how long this is gonna take, but we got a lot of time to do it. So yeah, let's build an airplane.
I did a good job as an airplane builder today, but I did not do a very good job as a camera operator. It was 5.4 hours, but I've only got about half of that on video. Had the music up loud and I didn't even hear when the battery died. Later I noticed it, started up again with a different battery. That one died too. So I got a lot of it. I didn't get all of it. I'm building the little fixture here to kind of, well, you'll see. I wasn't happy with the first version of it, but here's the cliff notes. It's you want to have the distance between the inside of the two boards, the inside distance to be 52, minimum 52, but let's just say 52 and a quarter, 52 and a half for some fudge factor, so that this can fit like that. And here you see I needed to make an adjustment. I did outside distance of 54, which is dumb. Anyways, yeah, 52 inches, and then it fits up there nicely, and now you have a stable platform. I do want to note that when I was putting screws in there in the ends, I'm not screwing it down to that 2x4. I'm just getting the screw in there a few turns so that it's pretty stable. I just don't want it to accidentally fall off. But I also don't want to booger up that hole, and I'm not screwing it through a rivet hole. I'm screwing it through a bolt hole that's got a little bit more room. Riveting this wasn't that bad. You'll see here that I do end up having to drill out a couple. At first, I decided I would start from the middle and work my way out, and kind of going slowly to check the quality of the rivets at first. That's what you see me do with my phone, taking some pictures. But I think I got pretty lucky with respect to the the bucking bar that I was using. I'll show you a picture of that right here. This chunky bucking bar is just the right width that I'm able to fit it in the web of that spar, flush, flat, and still have room for the tail of the rivet. So this was, I think, a much easier experience than what Tim had, where he had to angle down over the flange, the opposite flange of that spar. So I was very lucky that this thing just fit inside the spar channel. So riveting this stuff was not that bad at all. Very happy. So riveting the top side here went pretty smoothly. And once I get this, well, like I said, there were, I think, 3 that I ended up drilling out, which in recent experience, 3 isn't bad. And then once I finish up, and this is a bit slower replay because it was a shorter day. So I think this is sped up 20 times as opposed to, I think, double that. In the last video that I did, yeah, I was able to drill these out cleanly, but I really took my time with it, and I started with a much smaller drill bit. The AN 426, the countersunk rivets, they do have like a little dimple on the factory head, but they're not really centered. They look centered, but they're not quite centered. So you have to start, or I think you should start with a smaller, much smaller drill bit so you can make sure that you get centered on that thing before you start drilling through that rivet with a larger, and I never really go up to the full, in this case, number 40 drill bit. I'll stay with a 3/32, which is just under the size of that drill bit. So I can make sure, or try to as much as possible, make sure that I don't end up touching the dimple, and I can get that rivet head off and punch it out. So I finished, well, boy, let me just regroup here. I've done both of them now. I've riveted the top side of both of them, including the top side of the nose ribs and the top side of the main ribs, and installed the main ribs, and that's all gone. It was exciting. There is one thing that I want to note about that. On the end here, I guess it doesn't really matter because this can happen anywhere, but I had a bent tab, a little flange tab on one of those ribs, and I'm going to show you how to deal with that with this little picture right here. If you take a small piece of fuel line and slide it over the tail of the rivet, when the squeezer closes, it will first contact the fuel line, and that will squeeze the pieces together before it starts to squeeze the rivet. So it'll pinch the whole assembly together. If you have, for example, a bent flange, it will collapse those and bring them nice and tight before it ever touches the rivet and start to squeeze it, and it will still have no problem squeezing that rivet. That fuel line is pretty tough to squish with your fingers, but that squeezer squeezes with like 3,500 pounds of force. So I've used this little trick several times throughout the build. Boy, we really missed a lot here because the counterweight has been riveted to the leading edge skin on both of those already. So you can't really tell in this picture because those rivets are kind of the same color as the skin. But yeah, that was done. Those are all pulled rivets. You can see them on the far end, and you're not really necessarily looking at the rivets, but there's a little bit of scuffing around each of those holes as I tried to clean them up. So you see that I've got these Fernie pads and boards on here. Okay, here's what I'm working on right here. Let me show you something. When you rivet the top half of the main rib, this is flipped over, there's just enough room to get in that little corner with the no-hole yoke to squeeze that rivet. But once that rivet's in there, it becomes exceedingly difficult to do the same thing on the bottom half. And so I struggled with this quite a bit. I ended up just going down from an AN 426 3-3.5 to a 3-3.0, which is a 32nd of an inch shorter. Still able to set it properly. And even then, I used the trailing edge bucking bar. It's a skinny little angled bucking bar that just fits that contour and just get in there and get it done. So I got those set properly. I forgot to include a picture of that bucking bar. I think I got it from Cleveland maybe, but it definitely saved me. So when you're doing this, yeah, they want you to weight it down. And the very, very last thing that you do is both of the skins to the spar with all the pulled rivets along there. So that's what we're getting to here. Yeah, I think that my ailerons are straight. I can find a little bit when I lay a straight edge across the body of it, like the trailing edge skin. I can find very small, less than a 64. I mean, just a few thousandths where and that's just maybe just some waviness a little bit in between the stiffeners. But the edge itself, the trailing edge, is straight as an arrow. Yeah, I think that they're pretty square, and they are, for all intents and purposes, done at this point. The only thing that is left to do with these is to attach the brackets on both ends and then hang them on the wing. I decided not to mess with the brackets because I had a successful day and I'm happy with it. And you've probably noticed a few times in my videos when I sit there with a big bunch of paper because I'm going through the wing kit inventory to look for a certain bag of hardware. I know where this bag of hardware is, but when I looked at the call out for the hardware to use to attach those, I just didn't want to go through spending 15 or 20 or 30 minutes trying to tell the difference between two nearly identical types of washers. I'll do that later. It was a good day. It was getting dark. Quit while you're ahead. So yeah, these guys are done. D-U-N, done enough. I'm pretty happy to have this part of the build behind me. It's been such a long time off, so to be able to come back, make a big mistake, and have to drill out those gap fairings and whatnot, but then completely build both of the ailerons basically in a week. I'll have to look back and get a tally for the total time on those. I think I averaged about 5 hours, 6 hours a day, so we can call it 30, 35 maybe. Anyways, thanks for being here.